Yeah, it's 2 pages, right? Whatever page you want. Good. Good. Ready? Ready over here? James, ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the Planning Advisory Board meeting of June 8th, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Member Chabina. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Mr. Byrne, please call the roll.
Chairman Stanko.
Here?
Member Di Leonardo is absent. Member Chavina?
Here.
Member Warner?
Here.
Member Castellane?
Here.
Member Byrne is here. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Okay. I'd like to open the meeting tonight with, the format for the meeting, which will be presentation from the applicant, and then any questions or comments that the board may have, and then any interested parties may speak on the application. And I would ask that anyone who speaks to please identify themselves by name and address for the record. We have one agenda item this evening. 80 Jericho Turnpike, Syosset, New York, 11791. The applicant is seeking the site plan approval from the Planning Advisory Board in accordance with the town's site design standards. This site plan application involves the construction of a parking facility for the storage of registered commercial vehicles, which will be used for the parking of trucks, trailers, and automobiles that support the distribution of goods, with minor accessory structures and associated site work. The proposed use for the subject property is a permitted use pursuant to Chapter 246, Table 5.2 of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay. Mr. Byrne, do we have any correspondence or preliminary information on this application?
Yes, Chairman. We have a memo from the Zoning Division dated January 27th, 2022, stating the subject property located at 80 Jericho Turnpike, Syosset, New York, 11791, has a Nassau County Land and Tax Map designation number of Section 15, Block 38, Lots 14 through 17, 20, and 23, as well as Section 15, Block 157, Lot 74, and is located within the LI Light Industry Zoning District. We have a memo from the Department of Environmental Resources dated April 20th, 2023, recommending the adoption of a negative declaration for the purposes of seeker. We have a memo from the Code Enforcement Bureau dated January 31st, 2022, stating there are open code cases on the subject property for non-maintenance. Chairman, since this memo is several months old, the Planning Division contacted Code Enforcement Bureau this week, and there are still open code violations for non-maintenance and a dangerous vacant building. We have memos from the town's Department of Public Works Highway Division dated February 3rd, 2022, and the Engineering Division dated February 24th, 2022, stating they have reviewed the site plans and have no objections. We have an email from the New York State Department of Transportation dated December 20th, 2022, stating the plans have been approved for the subject site. We have resolution number 10,529-23 adopted on May 18th, 2023 from the Nassau County Planning Commission recommending local determination for this project. We have a memo from the Planning Division dated May 1st, 2023 stating the required parking for the subject property is 199 parking spaces and 234 have been provided. We have a memo from the Planning Division dated May 1st, 2023 stating that the division has conducted a review in accordance with Chapter 246, Section 6, Site Plan Review of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay, and is referring the site plan to the Planning Advisory Board for appropriate action. And lastly, we have the affidavit of signposting and the affidavit of mailing from the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we will entertain the applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Anthony Guardino. I'm a partner with the law firm of Farrell Fritz in Hauppauge, New York. I am joined tonight by Danielle Drake with H2M, Wayne Muller with R&M Engineering, and Kane Cody also with R&M Engineering. Andrew Skydell is behind me. He is a principal, the owner, and he's present to answer any questions that the board may have that perhaps we can't answer. But basically, our team represents SFG ISF Syosset Jericho LLC, that's a mouthful, which is seeking site plan approval to convert a former trailer park and several vacant buildings that were formerly used for a variety of uses, auto repair, a deli, and an Italian ice shop, to a facility that will be used for the storage of registered commercial vehicles with minor accessory structures. This use, as was mentioned in the notice, is expressly permitted under the applicable industrial zoning regulations, subject only to site plan approval from this board, and that's why we're here. As you will see as we go through the application, I've been doing this a long time. It's one of the rare applications where it needs no relief. It complies with all of the use requirements of the applicable zoning district and also all of the dimensional requirements of the zoning district. It also does not require any special permits. So this is the proverbial as-of-right use, if there is such a thing. Obviously, we're here because we do need approval from this board. The site is about 5.7 acres in size. It's located on the south side of Jericho Turnpike, about 80 feet west of its intersection with Drive. It has about 300 feet of frontage on Jericho Turnpike. It is zoned LI Industrial, is improved with 4 buildings. They are vacant. And until 2016, when the last residents were evicted, the site was used as a Syosset mobile home trailer park. Thereafter, in 2016, a local developer sought to change the zoning of this property to redevelop the site with slightly more than 100 units of senior housing and market rate rentals, as well as commercial space. He then sold the property in 2021 to my client after that developer was informed by the town that it would not rezone the property, so the property remains in light industrial. The site is located near the center of a large industrial area located both on the north and south sides of Jericho Turnpike and Syosset, and that area, of course, extends all the way down to the LIE. The adjoining properties to the east, west, and south are all zoned light industrial and are improved with industrial, office, and commercial uses. To the west, you have the North Shore Atrium Office Complex. To the east, you have the Comfort Inn Hotel and several automobile repair facilities and commercial and industrial uses that are located on Oak Street. And to the south, there is a building that's located on at 170 and 180 Michael Drive in the industrial park. And then there is the rear yard of one home across the street that is on Pondview Drive, and that is located in the village of Muttontown, and that's directly across the street and across Jericho Turnpike. The facility will provide a secure location for the temporary storage and parking of tractor trailers that will enhance the movement of goods in the Long Island market. The facility will include parking spaces for 42 bobtails at the northern end of the site. The bobtail is the cab portion or the tractor of a tractor trailer rig. There will also be parking for 112 semi-trailers, which are just the trailer portion without the tractor. And that they will be on the southern portion of the site. And then there'll be parking for 80 passenger vehicles, including ADA spaces located also on the northern part of the site. These spaces are going to be used by the local truck drivers who come to the site, drop their car off, and jump in their rig and leave the site to start their day and get on the road. Most of the trucks that will be stored at the facility are already present and operating on Long Island roads to serve the needs of local industrial and commercial uses, as well as to the ultimate consumer. The site will also provide a safe and secure location where tractors and trailers can be parked and stored rather than having them illegally parked on the shoulders of public roadways and in commercial parking lots, which we see all the time. While most of the site will be paved and landscaped, there will be a small 352 square foot prefab building that will serve as a break room / restroom, basically. It has a toilet in it for drivers and employees to be used during business hours only. And an even smaller 64 square foot prefab building that will be the guard booth that will be located at the main entrance. The facility is proposed to operate between the hours of 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. in accordance with the town regulations, but the guard booth will be staffed 24/7 for security purposes. The site plan that is before you is the product of more than a year of working closely with the former planning commissioner, the planning department, and the Department of Environmental Resources, as well as working with the town's independent planning consultant and traffic consultant. As part of the process, the applicant has agreed to a number of conditions that were requested by the town, such as there'll be no hazardous materials to be stored on site, there'll be no sleeping or living on the site, no cargo-laden trucks or trailers can be stored on the site for more than 24 hours. There is not an expectation that there be any cargo-laden trailers. However, things happen, if somebody's trying to deliver and can't unload their goods because the facility where they're delivering to is closed, the trailer would be stored on site, but it has to get out of there. It can't stay there more than 24 hours. So the next morning, it moves on. And no vehicle washing or maintenance on the site as well. The site has been designed to meet all of the town's landscape buffer and drainage requirements, and and Danielle Drake is going to explain in a minute. There were some cases where the town had asked the applicant to go above and beyond what the requirements are to address a particular concern that they had. My client agreed to all those changes. So one of the examples is, there was a robust landscaping plan that, together with an attractive stone wall, were all agreed to by my client because the town felt that it was necessary to make sure that this use was screened from Jericho Turnpike and from the one home located on the north side of Jericho Turnpike. So I sense myself starting to talk about site plan issues, and that's not my job, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn it over to Danielle Drake, and she's going to explain the various elements of the site plan as well as the internal site operations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Is that the scooter you want tonight?
Danielle, before you start, I forgot. I'm sorry.
The best thing.
I was like, wait a second, I feel very light here. I'm sorry. But maybe it's a little easier to follow along. Yeah, I think I got it.
Thank you, sir.
What page do you want us on?
So the first page that I'm going to be discussing is CS 100. If you guys have the actual plans.
What is it, PS?
CS 100.
CS 100?
Site plan 100.
Yeah, that's Exhibit 6. Exhibit 6 in the booklet.
So this exhibit shows the most northern portion of the site. The site fronts Jericho Turnpike, where the main entrance is, where all the vehicles and trucks will be entering. They pull into the site and pull up to where the guard booth is located.
Does anybody want to move up closer? No, we good, okay. All right.
And could you just speak a little bit louder, please? Danielle, could you
Yes.
speak a little louder?
Sure. So the vehicles enter off of Jericho Turnpike, pull onto the site, into the driveway. Can everybody hear me? Okay. There is a guard booth located at the main entrance where the vehicles will be checked in, and they'll be able to enter the site. At the northern portion, so the site plan is split up into the northern and southern portion, so I'm just going to discuss separately as I put them up. The northern portion of the site is where the parking is for the bobtails, which we just discussed is the front portion of the tractor trailer vehicle, and also the parking for the passenger vehicles and the people who work there, such as the guard booth employees and the break room employees and staff. The second plan we have, which is CS 101.
Same exhibit. Second page.
portion of the site, which is where all the trailers will park. So the tractor trailers come into the site, go to the back portion of the site, drop off their trailer, and then come back into the frontage of the site to park their bobtail, and get in their cars and vehicles and drive home. So that's kind of like the main way that the site operates. Just going back to kind of what Anthony had said. So the frontage of the site does have a couple things that the town did ask us to put in, just to help beautify the area. So we do have a 8-foot-high stone masonry wall that's going to be on the frontage. It's very similar to the stone wall on the northern side, to the west. It's kind of like a residential development. It's going to have a very similar look, as well as extensive landscaping on the front of the site as well. So exhibits as well. And that is CL 100. So this is the landscaping exhibit. It does show that we have a lot of trees that are on the frontage. So it's going to be creating canopy effect, tree effect.
10.
That's going to beautify the area. And we do also have a lot of landscaping internal to the site at all the landscaping. One of the other things that the town did ask us to do that Anthony didn't mention was that with the lighting, the site lighting that we have on site, we were able to lower the lights on the front of the site, so the northern portion of the site has lower lights than the back portion of the site, which is needed for, the polar tractor trailer parking. Right? So the lights in the front of the site are 14 feet and 24 feet in the back. We do have also another access area along Elm Place. However, that's meant to serve as a secondary access for passenger vehicles and also an emergency exit for the tractor trailers, but it's not meant to be utilized as a main form of exit or entrance. So we also have landscape renderings as well. Just to give an idea of what the site will look like. So this is west facing along the site, and this is, when the trees are planted, they're not initially this bushy, but this is about 5 to 10 years after planting. This is kind of what the corridor is meant to look like. So we have extensive landscaping, we have the wall, we have a nice grass area. So it's gonna beautify the location. I'm not sure what figure this is.
It's 7, in figure 7, the rendering.
We also have one of these. So we basically have a spring view and a winter view, just to show that even without leaves on the citrus trees that are going to be on the front of the canopy trees, you still have a wall of evergreen trees. So it'll still be landscaped well. A nice even. And then we also have 2 other landscape renderings. One looking the opposite way, while showing the corridor of trees, and then a 4th landscape rendering that'll be, if you're looking south into the site, what you would see. The walls and the trees and the driveway into the site off of the area.
Thank you, Dana. Kane Cody is going to speak and address some of the site operations with regard to traffic.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. Kean Cody on behalf of the engineering firm Robinson and Buller Engineers, our office at 50 Elm Street in Huntington, New York. I'd just like to sort of walk you through the use and a little bit more extensive site operations because it is a fairly unique use to this area. For all intents and purposes, the site in its simplest form is essentially a parking lot where we're going to be storing vehicles associated with a single tenant. And in this case, the single tenant will be a third-party logistics company that's going to operate a fleet of vehicles out of this site. That plan has indicated that the third-party tenant is going to be similar to a national trunk company. It's going to be something that their primary purpose is to assist in the supply chain and get goods from one place to another. And essentially, the first and primary function of the site would be the storage of the registered commercial vehicles associated with that, where we'd have the day-to-day vehicles, the bobtails, which we've discussed are the cab portion of the trailer, the passenger vehicles associated with the driver and the employees on the site at the guard booth and the operations manager, and then the empty trailers, which will get parked in the rear of the site. And that's essentially the primary purpose of the site. The primary purpose of a third-party logistics company is to efficiently move goods from place to place. In order to efficiently move goods, these companies have to be highly structured and highly organized. All the coming and goings from the site should be scheduled in advance, and anything out of the ordinary should be redirected somewhere else should something occur. We envision that the property would mainly function as a storage for empty trailers and vehicles associated with the moving of those trailers. And we expect the tenant will employ local drivers who will start their personal vehicles while working, take their bobtail, either attach a trailer or leave as a solo bobtail and then exit the site to the east. We don't expect really, it's going to be a private lot. We're not going to have independent truckers coming in and out of it. It's going to be solely for that tenant who employs all the drivers on the site. In terms of why we believe the use would be beneficial, as we all know, recently we all experienced the dependency we are on the supply chain. During COVID, we experienced a large reduction in household goods. You could go to the store and not find toilet paper. You experienced price hikes, and all of these things were mainly due to the breakdown of the supply chain during the pandemic. So the applicant has seen sort of a gap in the supply chain that they want to fill, and they believe this is an efficient way to do so. The site essentially is going to facilitate an extra location for this third-party logistics company to store extra vehicles and operate out of to sort of fill that missing chain in the supply chain, if you would. And I'd like to go through sort of a simple scenario, which will be a good way to visualize how the site will operate. So in this hypothetical scenario, we have John. John is a truck driver who lives in Melville. He's employed by the third-party logistics company that is the tenant of the site. Tuesday morning, John wakes up early in the morning and he drives to the site in his personal vehicle. He enters the site and he parks in the northern portion of the lot in his designated passenger vehicle spot. From there, he exits his vehicle and he enters his designated bobtail for the day. And either he then goes to the rear of the property, attaches a trailer and exits the site, or exits as a solo bobtail. John then goes out and does whatever he needs to do for that day, and then either he returns in one of two scenarios. Either he returns at the end of the day after doing a delivery or a series of deliveries locally, and when he returns, he enters the site either with or without his empty trailer. If he has the trailer, he parks in the rear of the site, then brings the now unattached bobtail to its designated spot in the front of the site, parks, gets out, gets in his passenger vehicle, and leaves. The other scenario would be if John's delivery for that day takes him somewhere further, let's say Columbus, Ohio, where he won't be returning for the next day or two. So in this case, his personal vehicle is then kept on site for those 2 days, where it's left safely and securely, and he doesn't have to worry about it. He then returns to the site after his 2 or 3 day visit and comes back in, and the same scenario occurs. He'll either park the empty trailer in the back or solo bobtail in his designated spot, and then get out, go to his personal vehicle, and leave and go home. And that's sort of how we envision it's going to happen every day. You'll get drivers coming in their personal vehicles, parking, and either going into their solo bobtail and leaving, or hooking up a trailer and leaving. And now, in addition to that, I'd like to just discuss the actual on-site operation. So as we've discussed, the site is located on the south side of Jericho Turnpike. It's located within a reasonable distance of both the Long Island Expressway and the Seaford Oyster Bay Expressway. Long Island Expressway has access to the west in the Westbury-Jericho area, where it has a direct off-ramp and on-ramp directly onto Jericho Turnpike, and then further in Hicksville where you can go off or on via 106, 107, and then take the on-ramp onto Jericho Turnpike from there. In terms of to the east, a few miles down the road, you have the Seaford Oyster Bay Expressway, which then 2 or 3 exits down from where you enter on, you have access to the LIE, and that would facilitate all your north, south, and east-west movement in the immediate area. In terms of the actual site, we have 2 access points. We'd have the primary access along Jericho Turnpike, and then that secondary access along Elm to Oak. The driveway along Elm to Oak is going to be secondary access. Mainly, it's there for emergency vehicle access or emergency access for the trucks and passenger vehicles. We don't believe it's going to be used regularly at all, and that pretty much all of the daily traffic is going to be entering and exiting through the Jericho Turnpike driveway. The Jericho Turnpike driveway will allow vehicles to enter via both left and right turns. That frontage along Jericho, we have a 2-way left turn median, which means any vehicles performing the left turn into the site will be able to remove themselves from the traffic stream. We have 2 traffic signals upstream that will create natural gaps in traffic, which should allow the trucks to safely and efficiently enter the site. In terms of exiting, we've decided to limit the driveway to right turns only, and this is sort of serving 2 purposes. First, it creates a safer intersection. It stops trucks from performing that left turn movement out of the driveway across the lanes on Jericho and into the oncoming traffic. And then secondly, it pushes the trucks that are leaving the site towards the Seaford Oyster Bay, which is their intended destination. The passenger vehicles and bobtails will be stored on site closer to Jericho Turnpike, and the trailer storage spaces will be located at the rear of the site. The hours of the site will be restricted to 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. We expect the bulk of the traffic activity to occur during the early morning hours or the late evening hours. The peak period for the site would be 6 to 7 a.m. right at the start. And at this point, based off the information provided by the applicant, we'd expect 42 total vehicle trips. During the AM and PM commuter peak hours, which is really the main concern for traffic, we generate 30 trips during the AM and 12 trips during the PM. Now, I'd like to point out, and this was mentioned by the town's traffic consultants as well, compared to those previous commercial uses that were occupying the site, Village Hero, Ralph's Ices, and the automobile repair shops, this site would actually be a reduction in the overall amount of traffic. I'm sure you all know Village Hero was sort of a staple of the area and generated a very good amount of traffic, especially in the early morning when we were going to be expecting our peak, when people would go get breakfast sandwiches or a bagel or something like that. In terms of the to and from for the vehicles, as I've discussed, we expect the majority of the trucks and passenger vehicles that are coming from the east, so from the city, to get off in Westbury Jericho or in Hicksville and then approach the site via Jericho Turnpike. It's a minimal amount of turns. And then for vehicles coming from the east, we expect them to be on the LIE until the Seaford Oyster Bay and then on Jericho from then on. In terms of the actual traffic capacity analysis that we performed turning movement counts at 2 intersections nearby, Jericho Turnpike at Underhill, and then Jericho Turnpike at Oak Drive. We performed these observations on Thursday, September 30th, 2021, and Saturday, October 2nd, 2021. The observed volumes at those times were adjusted based off the New York State DOT guidelines to account for any impacts that COVID would have had on the traffic in the area. After adjusting for the COVID-19 impacts, we then analyzed the site under 2 future conditions, the no-build and the build condition. Both conditions simulate the site 2 years into the future, so 2023 in this case. And in the no-build condition, we add in 2 years of growth at a 0.6% rate, which is specific to the town of Oyster Bay in the northern portion, and is provided by the New York State DOT. And it also includes any traffic activity for any other planned projects within the area. We contacted Planning Department. They gave us an extensive list of projects, of which 5 would be significant enough to impact the traffic along Jericho Turnpike. We included those within our analysis, and in order to do the comparison, we then had the build condition. The build condition has the same consideration as the no build, but also projects the traffic associated with the proposed project. As I stated, the peak trips that we'd expect would be 30 trips during the AM commuter, 12 trips during the PM commuter, and then 8 trips during the midday and Saturday midday periods. So a very minimal amount of overall trips during the typically analyzed peak periods. And essentially what we determined through this analysis was there is no significant impact on the 2 intersections that were studied on Jericho. The only real impact we saw was the outgoing vehicles from the driveway, but any delay associated with that would be contained on the site and wouldn't affect the operation of the roadway. Essentially, all the vehicles we're adding along Jericho Turnpike would be through vehicles, and through vehicles are the least impactful forms of additional vehicles, but all of this is conservative in nature because we did not remove any of the existing activity associated with those commercial uses, which LK McLean has agreed with us that it would be essentially a reduction in traffic compared to that. In addition, as we discussed extensively, there's three different types of parking on site. There's the 42 bobtail spaces, the 112 trailer spaces, and the 80 passenger vehicle spaces. We do not require a parking variance for this project, and essentially the demand of the project is generated solely based off the number of spaces we can provide on the site. It's limited. You can't really have more than the 42 trucks coming in and out of the site. We expect it would be very rare that we'd have a non-bobtail associated with the site coming in to pick up a trailer. It would be a very rare case. Typically, from the day-to-day operations, only those 42 bobtails should really be coming in and out of the site with or without the trailers, in addition to the passenger vehicles. So in conclusion, we determined that there was little to no traffic impact associated with the site and that the parking would be contained fully on site in compliance with the town code.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you. That concludes our presentation. Happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question for the traffic engineer. I haven't been on Jericho Turnpike in that area for a while. If the truck is going westbound, is there a turning lane on Jericho Turnpike? I would call it a suicide lane.
There is the two-way left turn median that's directly in front of the site. And because we have, I believe it's about a 300-foot frontage along Jericho, there shouldn't be any really other vehicles in the space that we'd be using for that.
Because I mean, I wouldn't want a truck sitting in the
No,
left-hand lane waiting to turn onto the property.
we understand that, and that's why I'd like to point out those two traffic signals upstream. The red lights that trigger there will create gaps in traffic that even,
This is going to be a controlled controlled driveway? There's going to be a traffic light there?
no, the traffic signals that are upstream from our driveway will create natural gaps in the traffic flow, which give the vehicles time to turn into the site.
Okay. And what about going east when the truck leaves?
It's a right turn out
Will
only.
he go right onto the right-hand lane?
He should, yes.
Okay.
Scott, you got anything?
Just a question on the functioning. When the trucker shows up in his vehicle, he parks on the northern section, he parks in his own spot, and then he goes to get the bobtail. And when that pulls out, then that bobtail spot is empty for the day? Is that the way it works? That works?
Yes.
And if he picks up a semi at the same time, that also goes out, so
Right.
that's part of the count?
So basically, for one person, one out, and then one back in.
Well, and this would be, those numbers would be the maximum, because as was explained, there may be some drivers that have to deliver out of state.
Out of state.
So when they're gone, they're gone. So those spaces, so that, the 42 spaces would be the maximum that you could ever have. More likely than not to be less than that.
Do you anticipate, you finished? You got another one?
I have a couple of ones.
Do you anticipate filling up all or most of the spaces, or maybe growing into all the spaces? I mean, how much would you use, 50%?
Yeah, let me ask the principal here. His business.
Andrew Scott, pleasure. No, we anticipate filling up all the spaces.
You
at
do?
once. Yeah,
Well, okay.
yeah, with one single tenant.
I thought your presentation said that they were only allowed to be there for 24 hours.
If they're loaded, if those.
If they're loaded, correct.
I'm sorry?
Only if they're loaded,
Cargo laden.
cargo laden,
You can't store any product on the site.
correct.
So if a company has 20 trucks or 20 trailers, he could bring those 20 there and store them and just use them as he needs them?
Empty,
Empty,
yeah.
Empty,
yeah,
yes.
correct.
Correct.
Okay.
That's
And
correct.
now, do you take freelance trucks coming in there?
No,
Or
no.
do they have to be registered with you and have
This
a
is-
tag on the truck that says that they can park in there, or?
Yeah, so it's going to be a dedicated company, like a national trucking company or some trucking company that has their employees, their drivers, and their own fleet of trailers.
So, I
That are
mean,
all
if I-
gonna be tagged
if I-
and
If I was a
registered.
freelance trucker, I couldn't pull in there and
No.
park
No.
And pay a
It's-
fee.
It's not a truck stop. No.
Okay.
That's more like overnight truck stops, which have showers, and they pay a $20 to $100, depending on where you are, per night rate. And that's really a hotel for truckers. This is a facility for commercial vehicles, that really, it's a supply chain company.
Do you have a customer yet?
No, we do not.
Will there be any semis or bobtails that run a generator or need it run for any refrigeration at any time? Plenty of those semis back there need that power to have something running 24 hours.
If I think I'm understanding
Yeah,
the question.
some of the trucks need to be refrigerated, and if they are,
Got it.
then they stop.
Well, yeah, you
For
can't store
product.
product on the site.
Well, you said you
Well,
could
you
store
said
for
you might
24
be able
hours.
to, yeah.
You can, but that's not the goal. Like, the goal is you come in and you move your goods from.
Okay, so the question is, if there's a refrigerated trailer that's filled, is that refrigerator going to be running for 24 hours next to the houses?
We didn't contemplate any type of refrigerated trailers on site, or people storing refrigerated trailers. That's just not the way the industry works
But
for
this
us.
is how we think.
No, legitimate question,
You don't
yeah.
have- In other words, you're gonna be
Yeah.
carting paper goods, you're gonna be, it's not gonna be like a Stop and Shop, maybe it is Stop and Shop, I don't know. They're not gonna have meat on the truck and, you don't anticipate
they don't
that.
No,
Oh,
no,
you
because
don't.
I don't see, in my industry, we haven't seen trailers that are just running for 24 hours with meat on the back of it, or any types of frozen goods. Like, I've just never even seen that.
Okay.
That would be more, you need to get your product to a location, especially if it's cold storage.
So really no generators?
No, there are no
Okay.
generators contemplated on the site, correct.
Would you restrict that if that's, does come across?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, I can't
I
imagine
know
that
you don't
happening,
have
so,
a tenant,
yeah.
it's just that
It's,
it has come up,
it's,
yeah.
yeah, they came up in my mind, so like, I don't, we haven't
When
contemplated that.
it
but
comes
yeah.
up, you're gonna say, hey, where did I hear that?
Yes, we'd be open to that.
Any more?
I just have one other question. It's not on the trucking subject or anything like that. But I know that because of the prior tenancy with the mobile homes, I think there's a lot of asphalt on that site now, and it shows on your plans, the old roadways. Are you planning on recycling that old asphalt or whatever, and recycling it on site?
Yes, correct.
Yes?
So we're gonna recycle it and reuse on site, yeah.
And then you will convert it to asphalt to be used for this?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. I'm just concerned, things like that, plants like that create dust.
So we do have dust mitigation measures put in place, such as, watering the site, and other mitigation measures that we have, set on the plans. And it's also, it's a short term, there's really not much asphalt on site that's available probably to be reused. It's
I'm just going by what I saw on
very-
your, on your plans, I mean.
It's very broken up, it's very overgrown.
Okay.
So, when they get out there, they're gonna have to assess the reusability of it while they're out there.
Well, I'm assuming and I'm requesting that the plant be set up in the rear of the site and not up in the front,
Yeah, that's
you know?
fine.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah. Actually, you bring up a point I wanted to mention when it was read in the beginning about the existing violations on the site. I personally have received a number of calls, Maggie or Margaret or somebody from code enforcement, very nice lady, would call me periodically, and I would call Andrew or someone, and they would get someone to go out there, and they would clean up the site, and then it was just a matter of weeks, and then I would get another phone call, because, let's put it this way, that some of the tenants didn't leave. It wasn't a nice situation at the end. So I think there was some revenge, some vindictive actions that were taken. We were doing the best that we could. We do understand, I think there was a time when there were tires on the site, and, the fence, and, obviously all of that stuff will go away. And
But is all the code enforcement taken care of, Scott? Or
Not at this time.
Not at this time.
Yeah, and whatever needs to be done will be done. And if, there may be certain things, I know they said the fence was in poor shape, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think we want to fix the fence, we're gonna take it down and replace it with a new one. So, if we get approved, and then we can move forward, obviously, it will kind of fix itself. those problems, if that's what the concern is. I know that was one of the complaints.
So we did work a lot with the town, with the code enforcer, sending members out probably sometime more than once a week. But we just couldn't kind of keep it up. But it's something that we will take care of.
For security purposes, I know you have a 6-foot fence all around the property. You don't plan on putting barbed wire or anything like that on top of that?
No.
Okay, because that would require a variance
Yeah,
from the
no,
zoning
no.
board of appeals. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah, you never,
You got it.
Yeah, I see there, from the renderings, there's going to be a sidewalk along Jericho. Is that, it's part of the plans here? Because I didn't see it specific here.
yes, yeah.
And just one last final one that I have is, by where Elm Place comes in, and where the exit is there, there's a section just to the right. Has a sidewalk there, and it looks, is that a gate there, or that's just on the plans?
Yeah, you wanna-
Yeah, on the side.
Danielle, you wanna-
Just to the
you wanna
south
address
of
that?
the
Yeah.
entrance, there's,
Please.
looks like a sidewalk, and what is that, a ramp that goes up there?
Yes, so that's a sidewalk for the, so after, if they have to go back to the trailers.
Right.
And for any need, to go look in it or anything of that nature, it's just a sidewalk for
So they
people
can follow right
to
along the
follow
back.
across,
Okay.
yeah. To get back and forth from the one parking lot to the other parking lot.
The guard station lets man 24 hours go, woman,
The security,
man,
yes, yes.
24 hours,
Right, right.
okay? So what about during the day? That they have to pull in and they have to check at that station?
It's a gate, correct?
Yes, there's a gate that's set up.
They can't get in unless somebody opens that
Yeah.
stop
Correct.
bar?
Correct.
Right,
Correct.
okay. Same thing coming out? Somebody's watching them?
Someone's there.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not that many vehicles for them to watch, so if somebody's there, we'll see it.
And all the plants are going to be irrigated? You have an irrigation system
Yes.
for them? That's, I guess, per town code. Do you anticipate a charging station for anybody who drives up in a car that needs charging?
Yeah, we did not anticipate one for this site.
Okay. Oh, hours of operation, you mentioned Monday to Friday, then I heard Saturday, well, Saturday hours too? Monday to 6?
Yeah, no, I-
Monday to Friday?
No, I don't think it was, is it limited to Monday to Friday? It's 6 to 11.
6
is
to
what
11.
the code allows. So it's whatever, and again, I don't know whether the.
Monday to Saturday, not Sunday?
I think it's 7 days a week. I think it's 7 days a week. The
7
code.
days?
Yeah, the code is
Okay.
7 days.
Okay.
And I have one other thing on the, for exiting, will there be signage and arrows on the road so that the truckers know they can only make a right turn?
Correct, yes, there is signage to
Down
indicate
the
that they
road.
will only be able to make a right turn out, yes.
You have a permit from New York State to do any
Yes,
changes in the markings on the roadway or anything like that?
correct, yeah, this application went through New York State DOT review and has been approved by them.
How long do you anticipate the trailers would be stored on average on the site? I know it's going to be a little bit of a mix, but, the trip generations given before said about 50 trucks leaving the site, 30 a.m., 12 p.m., 8 midday, for a total of 50, which would lead me to believe about 62 trucks are staying on site
Trailers will be stored, yeah, sometimes for weeks at a time,
weeks at a time. Okay,
Yeah.
so 50 trips a day
yeah,
coming and going.
potentially even longer.
Right, some tractors leave without the trailer.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And you don't anticipate much refuse that just,
No garbage at all, right?
Not really.
Whatever comes out of the
Whatever.
break room.
That's it.
And the
And
card
then we
room,
just taken-
coffee cup.
Is there going to be dumpsters on site?
There's one,
Is there a dumpster?
there's one right here.
Lou?
I don't have anything else.
Do you anticipate truck drivers staying at the site for any period of time? I know there's a break room, maybe you can just go over the function of that?
No, if the truck driver has to use a break room, it'll be to pick up some belongings or bathroom, but no. Maybe
Okay.
typically after a long shift, you want to go home.
It's only 300 square feet. It's
Yeah.
tiny.
Will that little building there, that new building, 352 square feet, will that be open to the drivers and to the security people and
Yes.
and whoever?
Yes. Well, whoever, the drivers and the security.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, there's only one bathroom in there.
Yeah, it's not, that's why we don't anticipate people hanging around there too long.
So with one tenant, there's pretty much going to be consistency of who comes and who goes.
You're gonna,
Drivers.
so, I think that the point that we were trying to drive home was, these are logistic companies, so they're the most efficiently operated companies in the world, otherwise they're doing something really wrong.
So there'll be a lot of people, a lot of the same people come
Yeah,
to work
correct,
if they work for that
correct,
company.
correct,
Okay.
yes. But in terms of like the actual logistics of it, these are logistic companies, so if they're messing up, then they're really bad logistic companies.
Okay. All right, anybody else from the board? James, you got?
As far as idling trucks, is the security guard going to monitor, the trucks on the site if they try and sit there and idle?
So within the logistics industry, the goal is you want to get in and get out. So if you're moving, if you're idling, as a driver, you're not moving. And if you're not moving, you're not making your money. So idling could happen, but it should be very limited.
Okay.
It would be subject to the DEC's requirement that you can't idle for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So that could be an enforcement issue.
That's why I was asking if the security guard that's 24 hours, if you have, I know it's going to be one tenant, but if someone's sitting there idling in the truck, is
Yeah,
someone
go
going to
out,
be
knock on the window
monitoring?
and say, what are you doing?
monitoring that,
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Going with the 20, Scott, you done? You got another?
You go.
Okay. Going with the 27 days a week, the lighting, can you speak more to that? Because
Want to speak to that?
Sunday evenings,
Yes, so like I said, the lighting in the frontage of the site is lower than the lighting in the
it's going
back
to be
of the site.
14 feet? You
Correct,
said
14 feet in the front.
14 feet in
Yep.
the front?
Yes. It's higher in the back of the site, and we have a stipulation per the town code to, I think, only have lights on until the close of business hours, or for emergency situations,
So the lights
obviously.
go off at, say, 11 o'clock?
11 o'clock.
Okay.
Is that going to be on timer or security doing that?
We'll probably put it on timer. I don't think we'd rely on a person to.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott.
There was a pedestrian gate located at the rear of the property. Is that just for landscapers to be able to?
I'm not familiar with that. Do you know about a gate in the back? Wasn't aware.
Yeah.
So towards the,
South?
yes, the south side of the site. So that was requested by the local fire department.
Okay.
For fire department
Fair
access.
enough. Yeah.
So that's why we included that. But that's gonna, we talked with them, and they have like a specific lock that they put on it for them, so that it's not a pedestrian access gate for anybody else except for the fire department.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Scott? Good? No? James?
Good.
Okay, anyone wish to speak on the application, please come forward, state your name. All right, we'll start with you.
I'm Patrick Long, 15 Pondview Drive, Mutton Town, and I strongly believe the board should disapprove this use for two reasons: traffic and noise. Anybody who's on Jericho Turnpike during the day knows the traffic is awesome. I work in Carl Place. I come every day from Carl Place to Mutton Town on Jericho Turnpike. Today, the traffic was backed up at about 4:30 from Robbins Lane almost to the Jericho Water District. We don't need any more trucks. There's a liquor distributor on Underhill Boulevard who puts out about 200 trucks a day. You recently approved Amazon, who has, I don't know how many trucks. The area cannot take any more trucks. I believe the person who gave the traffic analysis said they did it on Saturday. One of the days they did it was on Saturday. There isn't a problem on Saturday. I think that was very convenient of them to do it on Saturday. The old use was passenger cars. It wasn't trucks. And it was very limited. The hours of operation are terrible. When you have trailer trucks, you have the piercing backup noise. I'm sure you've all heard that. It pierces, it goes for miles. And I know if you allow this use, I'm going to be woken up in the middle of the night with backup noise. It's inevitable. 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., I'm going to have to put up with hearing backup noise. And I don't think there's any way they can do to alleviate that. So I strongly urge you to disapprove this use. And secondly, I would like to know if you approve the use and these guys work beyond 6 to 11 p.m., what is our recourse? What is our recourse if there's noise?
Scott, what would you do?
So the town code only permits them, because they're within 100 feet of a residential zoning district, to operate between the hours of 6 and 11. So if they were operating outside those hours, you would contact the town's code enforcement bureau, lodge a complaint, they would do an investigation, and then ultimately issue a violation if they were violating the town code.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I saw another hand over here. All right, come on. Next. Don't go away.
Hi, my name is Susan LaBianca. I live at 19 Pondview Drive. First off, I just want to say the reason why there's not a lot of people here is none of the neighbors knew that this meeting was even happening. We didn't even know that the lot was sold and what was being bought or put even on the lot. So we're very, disappointed that no one knew that this was even happening.
Scott, the letters went out?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
we,
a sign, the town code requires that a sign be posted 7 days prior to a planning advisory board meeting.
yeah, the sign is this big, and the only way to see it is if you actually walked on the site to see it. Other than that, no one knew. That's why nobody else is here, because none of our neighbors on Pondview, Saddle, or Stirrup knew that any of this was even happening. Okay? So that's why it's empty, otherwise there would be a lot more people here. Second of all, what are these trucks coming to deliver there? I'd like to know what's going to be delivered, what's going to be in these trucks. They keep saying that it's going to be merchandise. What type of merchandise is coming and going off this site? Amazon is right down the road. They do all their trucks. I don't know how many more trucks we need across the street with deliveries. I'd like to know what's being delivered. Second of all, the traffic is horrendous already on Jericho, especially in the morning. When we come out of our block, we can't even go west because Jericho is a 2-lane road, okay? I don't know where everybody lives, but if you drive down Jericho, it's 2 lanes. There's no turning lane. When we come out of our block, we have to go into the middle lane and hope that nobody hits us, because you can never come out and make a left and go into the lane that you want on Jericho because there is no light at the end of our block. Same with Saddle and Stirrup. When you come out of those lanes, there's no turning lane. You're hoping and praying that when the traffic is coming, that you're in between the cars that are coming from the west and from the east. A lot of times when we come out of our block, me, my husband, and my kids, we have to go west because we can't go east, because the traffic is just insane, and we have to go all the way down Robbins Lane, all the way around to come down South Oyster Bay Road, because we just can't get out. When they say how their trucks are going to be turning into the lot, there's no way that's happening. The Nissan dealership down the road parks their trucks in the central lane to unload their trucks to put into the Nissan dealership. That causes traffic. There is no way that these trucks will be able to turn into that parking lot. When we used to go to Ralph's and Village, the traffic, the lanes, there is no turning lane to get into that lot. It's 2 lanes. You are chancing by crossing over. It's a double yellow line. How are they getting over these lines? It's 2 lanes. There's no way that these trucks will be able to get in there without traffic. From 4 o'clock till 7 o'clock, we cannot come out of our road and make the left because it is dead stop traffic. Not to mention when it snows. Forget winter, when there's trucks all over the place. You have the Amazon trucks, like my neighbor said, you have the liquor distributor on Underhill Boulevard, and now you're going to have their trucks. We'll never be able to get out of our block. And years ago, I asked for a red light at the top of our hill, and I was told no, because there's a light down by Michael's and one on Underhill. Those two lights, if they don't coincide with one another, that's where the traffic is on Jericho. So how are these trucks getting in there? I don't think this is a good idea. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Susan Cohn, and I live in Syosset. Can I move that? I'm in the Syosset Groves neighborhood, and we now have Amazon on one side of us. We're going to have this bustling thing on one side of us. You are in the process of allowing Starbucks to have a drive-through on the other side of Jericho Turnpike across from us. We have trucks going in and out of the shopping center where Lidl is, across from us. The two entrances into Syosset Groves from Jericho Turnpike. There are signs at those entrances that you are not allowed to make left turns cutting through our neighborhood to try and get to South Oyster Bay Road and avoid all of that traffic on Jericho Turnpike. There is so much traffic on Jericho Turnpike that Syosset Groves is used as the throughway. These pictures are insulting to anybody that lives anywhere near this. When have you ever seen Jericho Turnpike without a car on it? I don't know who Joe from Melville is, who the truck driver that you talked about, but I'm guessing that these truck drivers are not all coming from Melville. They're probably coming from all over the place, in from the city and maybe upstate. I have no idea, but I just think you're painting a picture with no cars on Jericho Turnpike. I don't know, maybe this was like supposed to be the first day of COVID. And Joe from Melville, our friendly neighborhood truck driver that we all know and love. This is ridiculous. How many trees are going to be lost from that area that we kind of use in our neighborhood, in the Groves, as a sound barrier? The amount of noise that's going to be coming in there from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., that's insane. Trucks going in it. You have a huge neighborhood. Syosset Groves is right there. And that turning by Underhill Boulevard, you can't get more than 2 cars trying to turn left at a time coming, if you're going towards Jericho, if you're driving west on Jericho Turnpike. You can't have more than 2 cars trying to make a left turn without them encroaching into the next lane. This is, I don't know, who's protecting us? We have a little white sign that gets put out 7 days in advance in an area that is so congested with traffic that nobody's going to see that sign. Who protects us? Who's watching out for us? I've been living in Syosset for 33 years, and it just seems like the last few years with Amazon and everything else that's going on, it has nothing to do with the residents. It's just bringing in whatever businesses are there. You should come drive by Syosset Groves. Come Monday through Friday, anywhere from 3 o'clock until 7 o'clock, and see what happens on Jericho Turnpike. You cannot move. People who live in the Groves will go all the way out of their way and go down to the service road and come back up Woodbury Road to get to the other side of Jericho Turnpike if you need to get to Woodbury. You cannot come out of our development and drive on Jericho Turnpike during the day once schools are out. Once like 3 o'clock hits, you cannot. And this is going to make it 10 times worse. This is crazy. There are residents in Syosset. We're not like this big commercial business area. This isn't 110. This is Jericho Turnpike. It's people living in these neighborhoods around this. You people have to protect us. You have to protect the residents of this neighborhood. It just doesn't feel like we're being protected, and I'm asking you to please reconsider this. I don't know if my one shaky voice is gonna do that. But, I don't know, maybe over your coffee tomorrow, you think about the short woman who got up and pleaded with you to please take care of the residents of Syosset. Move to that neighborhood because we wanted to live in the suburbs. We wanted to live in a nice, quiet place. We all work our asses off to keep up with taxes and whatever else, to live in these stupid little houses on stupid plots of land. And it's just getting worse and worse. Please, protect us.
Good evening, I'm Joe LaBianca, I live at 19 Palmview Drive, right across the street from where this proposed area is supposed to be built. I'm strongly against it, and everything that young lady said, and my wife said, and my neighbor said, I'm just going to be repeating the same things because it's the truth. The traffic is going to be insane. I know now one of the 5 of you people, everybody's been to Village, everybody's been to Ralph's, okay? You know exactly what we're all talking about. There is no way an 18-wheeler is going to be able to come east down Jericho Turnpike and pull into that without causing a nightmare of traffic behind it. God forbid he puts on his, his hazard lights because he has to wait for someone to pull in. Or he there's going to be accidents, there's going to be, and possible injuries. There's no doubt about it. If there's bad weather, if there's traffic, because now it's summertime, everybody's, you going out east. 5 o'clock, forget it. It is a nightmare. It's a logistical nightmare. To sit here and listen to the garbage about COVID and John, the person who's driving the truck, or Joe from Melville, is just ridiculous. We all know who this third-party logistics lot's for. Amazon.
Right.
We all know who it's for, okay? They have plenty of room down by the LIE. To say logistics of where, we can get on the Seafood Oyster Bay, or we can get on the LIE going straight down Jericho, is just not, you guys all know this, you live in this town. You know that's not a spot to go into. It's not an industrial site. There's houses with kids and dogs and elderly people who walk up and down that road. Ralph had to be relocated. What about the families that now live in the Comfort Inn, okay, walking up to Ralph's Ifas? What do they got to wait for an 18-wheeler to come through? Or the people that live on Palmview Drive who are going over to, say, Fernina's or to get gas? They can't get out. We all live on dead-end blocks, cul-de-sacs. The people up in Horseman and Saddle and Stirrup, there's no back entrance to get out. There is a back entrance proposed for this. Why can't they use that? Why do you need to continue to overload Jericho Turnpike, which is, again, 2 lanes east, 2 lanes west? There is no way. And like I reiterate, you all have been to Village, you all have been to Ralph's. You know the staple, okay, of 2 businesses that have, gone by the wayside because of why? Because Amazon or this third-party logistics parking lot needs to be. Come on. I mean, it really, you guys got to use your, common sense here. The traffic is going to be insane. It really is. My wife highlighted, we asked for a light many, many years ago, and you guys did a traffic study and said, just, with the light up at Underhill and the light up by the Chase Bank can take care of it. Now just think of 40 18-wheelers coming at various times during the heavy traffic periods in the morning and at night. And forget the environmental questions. If these trucks are idling, okay, you have families in the neighborhood. Some people, one of our neighbors of the block is, very sick with, lung issues. What are these trucks idling by? What if there's traffic? It's just nonsense. It really is. This is not thought out properly. It really isn't. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Rosemary Rosenblum. I live in Syosset Groves also. Most of what I wanted to say has been said, but I have a couple of other points. I know that in the plans, because I've seen them, they swear that this is not going to be Amazon-related. Amazon's not part of the logistical company, and they're not going to be using this property. I don't believe it for a second, with all due respect. However, I would like to say that I did hear, and I could be wrong, that Amazon may have the right to sublease space in their warehouse if they're not full. And so if they do that, does their subleasee get to then use this logistical area? Number one. Number two, this area is very close to Gordon Drive. Gordon Drive goes right into the DPW property and the capped landfill, and Gordon Drive is the backyards on Preston Road in Syosset Groves, where I live. So we're very concerned that at some point, there's going to be a cut-through. You're already talking about, access on Eileen Way and other areas back there. So if anything's going into this parking lot, there needs to be a stipulation that they are never to be able to use Gordon Drive, number one, that Amazon is never allowed to lease to another company that's going to use this property to store trucks, number two. And also, I love that they did a traffic study. I saw the traffic study yesterday, and I have to laugh because you did a traffic study on Underhill Boulevard and Oak Drive, and yet you're saying that these trucks are going to access the exit from Jericho Turnpike at the Seaford Oyster Bay Expressway. Do you know what that looks like at rush hour? You're going to try to get trucks in into the entrance lane to the Seaford Oyster Bay Expressway at rush hour, where that traffic is already backed up every single day, a good half mile. And so what is going to happen? Are the trucks going to be able to make a right turn? Because they can't make a left, so they can't use Robbins Lane. Are they going to be able to make a right turn onto South Oyster Bay Road, going south, and exit and enter the LIE from over there? My backyard abuts South Oyster Bay Road, as do hundreds of houses from Jericho Turnpike straight down to the expressway. So there needs to be some stipulation. They are not allowed to use South Oyster Bay Road. I heard that they were saying they were going to be encouraged not to do that. There needs to be a stipulation. They are not to use local traffic roads. Like Susan said, we're just like little pawns in a game here, but you guys hold the power. I don't know Angela Stanko, but you are probably a relative of mine. That's my maiden name. My family's been
We
here.
have a conflict, I'm sorry.
My family's been here for generations now. 4 generations of my family were born in Glen Cove Hospital. This is my town. This is where we live. We live here, like Susan said, because we appreciate the suburbs. We appreciate our way of life. We can't be Queens on Jericho Turnpike. To think that you can make a left-hand turn off Jericho Turnpike to get into this property is ridiculous. At any time, but at 5 o'clock, we couldn't go to Ralph's Ices from my house. We had to go around to Robbins Lane and come back up around so you could make a right in. So come on, guys, please. We could do better. I would like to go back a step and say, what happened to the mixed-use development that was proposed when LaRusia had the property? It suddenly was untenable and unviable, and I'm told that there was community outrage that we didn't want a mixed-use development. I want to know who was so outraged in the middle of the pandemic. Because let me tell you, I'm here 35 years. We were outraged when we wanted to have no mall at the Amazon site. There were plenty of people out there, but we didn't even know that this other site was resold again. And like you said, somebody over there, we didn't even see signs. If it wasn't for the fact, and I hate to give credit to Mr. McKenna here, but he did post that little sign that got spread around. That's why I'm here tonight, because we saw that little sign 2 days ago and knew that this hearing was here tonight. So please, protect us. We are you, you are us, and you live somewhere. You could just as easily live in my neighborhood as you live wherever you live. It's not okay. At some point, you got to say no. So please make this be the time. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, Kevin McKenna, and I'm a longtime resident of Syosset. I'm here as a resident. You might know I'm also the founder of Nassau County NY News. and I am broadcasting this live right now to probably 20,000 residents right now in Nassau County. So if you think that you don't have anybody watching, trust me, there are a lot of people that are watching this, and there are a lot of people that are going to look at the outcome of your decision. I want to, and I'm also surprised that you don't live stream this meeting. I know that after the meeting takes place, you put up a video link, but why wouldn't you be live streaming this meeting as it takes place? So I'm doing it for you. But I want to let you know a couple things that you might not be aware of. I was very, very involved in well, originally it was the Syosset Park development where they were going to build on the now Amazon site as well as the current Town of Oyster Bay property. And I was also very, very involved in the DEC meetings and the meetings in order for Amazon to get the as-of-right permits to build that Amazon warehouse on a contaminated site. And they were held to very, very strict limitations in the agreement, which I have a copy of. And they're only allowed to have a certain amount of vehicles and a certain amount of tractor-trailers coming out of that property. So what they're doing here is they're bypassing those limitations that they have on the attached property, and they're doing it through another owner that's going to sublet this property out to Amazon vehicles in one way or another. That's what's going to happen. So they're circumventing the agreement by using this piece of property. And I hope that you take that into consideration. The other thing I want to say or ask is that, and I think Ms. Rosenblum just alluded to it, a couple of years ago, there was an application on that same property to build some type of a senior apartments or whatever. And I was at that hearing here, and there were a lot of people here for that hearing. And apparently, those folks did a lot better of a job notifying the community as this applicant did, because sticking a postage stamp sign on Jericho Turnpike where cars are going by at 50 miles an hour is not going to notify the area residents about tonight's meeting. But I'm going to respectfully disagree with the woman who spoke earlier who said that the residents don't know about it. That's not true, because as Ms. Rosenblum just said, I live streamed, I did a video a week ago telling I have over 1,000 residents that follow my page in Syosset. And there's a lot of residents in Syosset that do know about this meeting tonight. But what's unfortunate, and I want you to take this into consideration, is because of the, how do I say this politely? Because of the reputation of the Town of Oyster Bay government retaliating against people who open up their mouths, there are a lot of people that are afraid to come into this room and speak at this microphone as some of these residents just did. They fear retaliation. So what I'm saying to you is if they didn't fear retaliation with the corrupt government that we have here in the Town of Oyster Bay, there would be dozens and dozens more people up here saying exactly what these folks just said. They're afraid to come and speak. So, listen, I am a critic of a lot of different applications. I can't believe that you're even considering this application with the traffic backup on that road. Now, if you want to assure that Supervisor Saladino doesn't get reelected this November, all you have to do is approve this application, because he will lose the vote in the immediate area. I actually hope that you approve it so that he gets removed. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Oh,
Can I make-
yes,
oh,
you have something new to add? Or-
What is it that you are actually moving onto the site? Like, what is really going to be delivered?
I'll answer.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna ask,
No one has ever said what was
All
going
right.
to be in these
Yeah,
trucks.
okay.
we're gonna ask him to answer all the questions posed by all the residents.
So I'm going to be very brief. A lot of things were just said. I think, and I listen, I appreciate, I've been doing this a long time. I know people are very passionate, about certain things, about land uses, obviously very concerned about what's going on in their own neighborhoods, and I get that. And there were a couple of people here, I know there were a few people from Syosset Groves, which I believe is the development that's immediately to the east. But I think what's lost on everyone that was speaking is they're thinking that we are up here asking for a change of zone, a special permit, a variance. We're not asking for any of that. What we're asking for, if I can speak, please, what we're asking for is for the Planning Advisory Board to make a determination that the way this site is laid out is appropriate because the use itself has already been determined to be appropriate by the town code and by the town board. When my client bought this property for this particular use, they called me, we opened up the book, and we spoke to people at planning and said, I just want to make sure I get this right. This is a permitted use in this zoning district. So, what they're complaining about is, I'm not hearing people say the lights are going to be too bright or whatever. I'm hearing people say, don't allow this storage facility for tractor trailers, for commercial vehicles, registered commercial vehicles to be here. And that's not what, and I know this board, I'm mentioning it for the public's benefit. I know this board understands. So when we're over the use issue, I will mention, just as I'm just going to bounce around, we've complied with all of the notice requirements that the town requested. There's a 100-foot radius requirement. We posted the sign. The size of the sign is dictated by the town code. It's not like we get to pick a small sign. We put what's the town requires that we put up. And we complied with all the requirements. I will say that perhaps with the mixed use, there was greater notice, and I know that was kind of a shot at us that maybe we didn't do what we should have done, but we did. But that was a different application because that needed a change of zone, I believe, and Scott, you can correct me, I think it's 500 feet. So there's a different radius that was required for that. So yes, there was more notice, but it was because the applicants there were asking to do something the code did not allow on this site. The question, about what will be in the truck, listen, I still can't answer that. I can't. It might be toilet paper, it might be dog food, it might be stereos, it might be a washing machine. All I know is that it won't be hazardous because nothing can come on the site that's hazardous, et cetera. We talked about the generators, it won't be something that needs to be, where you need a generator. We've agreed to that. But it could be any good. It's whatever the logistics company says to the driver, go pick up that X today, or a truck full of X, and bring it to wherever it needs to go. I just don't know what that product is, and every day will be different. I can't comment on the traffic at the Nissan dealership. I don't know anything about that. I will say with regard to the first gentleman who spoke, that, tried to say that, it was very convenient that we studied the traffic on a Saturday. I don't think you heard what he said. There were actually 2 days. One was a weekday and one was a Saturday. So we did look at both a weekday and a Saturday in the traffic study. I think the last thing is, people are saying is related to Amazon. That question came up a lot during the review process. We told the town that it's not related to Amazon, but quite frankly, it could be. But it's not. It's not. I mean, it's a use. The use is the storage of registered commercial vehicles, whether the side of the truck says Amazon or says, U.S. Postal Service, says, I don't know, Keebler Cookies, whatever it is. So, that's the point I want to make. The user is not part of this discussion. But I will tell you that it's not Amazon. That I will say. And that's it. I mean, the last gentleman, I guess kind of, whatever. I'm not even going to respond.
It did come up about an area that could be opened up in the future to go through. What was that? What was that street?
Gordon Drive.
So,
Not good.
would that be open? Would you,
No,
are you
it's not good.
considering-
No, we can, you know, restrict,
Because it's
can
not-
agree to a
it's
condition.
not open.
No, it's not covenant, not contemplated at all. No, we can give that up. We're not giving it up. We're not doing it. So we could agree to that. We can agree to that. Well, we'll just agree to it.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
So, going back to the sign,
You can stay there. You've been up enough.
so you go to the top of our hill and you look directly across, okay? You couldn't even see the sign, okay? The size of the sign is here. Now, you guys can't see it from there. That's like me going to the top of my hill and looking at this sign. I don't know what this sign says, right? You guys don't know what this sign says. This is what I'm supposed to know about coming here for tonight? This is the size of the sign that people are supposed to see, right? You can't see what it says. You don't know that the meeting is here tonight. This is what people are supposed to see, okay? Second of all, he wants to talk about the lights and everything else. Everything on Jericho Speedway closes before 11, okay? Benita closes by 11. There's nothing open on Jericho at 11, but yet I'm gonna have to hear these trucks coming and going, because they're gonna be working, I don't know, maybe till 11 o'clock at night. There's nothing open. I can't even get gas at Speedway at 11. It's shut down. But yet, when I'm in bed and my windows are open, I'm gonna hear the trucks coming and going in and out of that area over there.
So
It's not
for
a
11,
commercial
would
area.
they wouldn't all come back 11 o'clock? Would be staggered hours, maybe come 4 o'clock, 3, an hour, somebody
They might all be
left
back
at-
before 11.
Well, that's what I'm
But you
saying.
don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when there's nothing else open on Jericho, I mean, Dunkin' Donuts doesn't even stay open 24 hours anymore.
Okay. Well, we talked about the code.
You know, so there's a lot of
And we
things
talked
that
about
don't
the
stay
sign
open
code.
until 11 o'clock anymore. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's 11 o'clock or 10:30 or 9:40, it's still late at night. We still have kids that have to go
Okay,
to sleep, and the school buses are coming at 7 o'clock in the morning.
You're
It's
right.
going to interfere when the school buses are trying to come out of Stirrup and Saddle, you know, and that they got to interfere with all these trucks coming and going.
Yes, you have something?
You know, the condescending dissertation we just heard rebutted, okay, you know, we'll take it as a grain of salt. But the financial impact of the homeowners that are in and around this proposed site will be dramatic. May not happen in the first year, may not happen in 3 years, may not happen in 5 years, but it will happen. Our houses will be devalued, okay? There's no doubt about that, okay? Because a prospective buyer of a property is gonna say, there's a third-party logistic, tractor trailers, roughly 50 a day, coming in and out, causing traffic problems on Jericho Turnpike, okay? Let alone, you know, all the other ramifications that go along with this, okay? I truly, truly hope you guys really reconsider.
Anthony, did you go to another board to make the presentation?
No.
No.
No, we didn't have to.
But you went to the town planning and development
Yes,
and met?
yes.
met
We've been working on this for a
extensively
long
with
time.
them?
Absolutely, we've been working a long time. You know, I will just say that, and again, I apologize if you thought I was condescending, I didn't intend to be, but, you know, again, you know, the complaint about the trucks on Jericho Turnpike, that's where trucks go. It's a state highway, that's where the trucks go. You know, the same thing, I mean, complaining about an industrial use when, listen, you know, I don't think I'm sure it's not this use. If you think your property's gonna be devalued, it's not this use. It's the fact that you live adjacent to an industrial area. That's where industrial uses are going to go. So, again, we're not asking for a change of zone to put this industrial use here. It's what the code actually provides, and this site has been zoned industrial. I have no idea, Lou, you may know, but it's been forever, as far as I know. It's been industrial for a long, long time.
So if there's
And I did read
Why do
it,
they have
say,
mobile homes
I did
in
read
their
it, say,
driveway?
it's a permitted use
Yes.
in the code of the town of Oyster Bay. I don't have that charter number, but, okay, I think we heard
I-
the,
I don't-
That's my question, but if it was industrial, then why were all the mobile homes there that lived there 10, 15 years ago?
They were the special permit from the zoning board, from the 50s. But it was zoned industrial. It was zoned industrial when it was a mobile home park.
And then they just kicked all those families out?
I
And that-
have no idea.
I-
It wasn't my client, I can't comment on that. I really can't, because we didn't own the property, whatever happened,
Okay.
happened. I don't know, I wish you
Right, no, I'm
know
just
better
asking
than me.
because I didn't know.
All right.
That it was zoned for industrial, right?
It was.
So,
The whole area is.
well, did you ever ask the garage that is right next door, or the hotel that's right there, if this is gonna impact them at all?
Well, it's zoned industrial, the whole area, the hotel is in the industrial zone. They're all there, and I believe somebody from the hotel is actually there, so that's not for me to comment. I really have nothing further.
No,
I mean, I'm happy
I-
to sit and chat with the
yes,
residents.
yes, ma'am.
In your apology to not be condescending, you were condescending. I don't think anybody here has a problem with what this business is and what this business does. So you have residents here who are talking to our officials about what's happening in our town, what's happening to our neighborhoods. So it just so happens that, this is involved, but I don't care what your business is. I don't care how you make money. I don't care what you do. I'm asking my town officials to please keep my town a beautiful place to live. I did mention before, you've got Hilltop over there that was allowed to open as a much larger restaurant with many more spots and an outdoor area to replace the Friendlies that was there, and supposedly it was only supposed to be the same number of people as what Friendlies could hold. But somehow or another, the town said, okay, it's okay, we'll let this get much bigger. Right in Syosset Road's backyard. So the warm weather isn't here yet. God only knows what the noise is going to be from that. Right across from that, you've got Syosset Hospital. I don't want to be in an ambulance coming down Jericho Turnpike when all of these trucks are mobbing up Jericho Turnpike by Underhill. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's just common sense.
On the other point, this board is really tasked with looking at what we were asked to look at. Lighting, the parking as it is.
Landscape.
And certain
Signage.
landscape, signage. So I think you're probably giving us more power than we really have. They did all the work, and they said, here, just let me finish now. Take a look at this plan, how does it look? What can you do about the lighting? We're not the town board by any stretch. We're tasked with this job, and we're trying to do the best that we can. We try to do the best that we can for the citizens, in whatever community they're in. So I just want to give you that perspective from our point of view.
But you did not mention the traffic part.
No, we look at, what do we look at today?
We look at site design standards, but one of the things that we are tasked with doing is adopting the seeker determination, which looks at the traffic. And that's one of the things I would like to go back to and
Go
look
ahead.
at. I'd like to visit during certain hours, and I'd like to talk to you guys after the meeting.
Go do a traffic study up at the entrance to the Seafood Oyster Bay Expressway, not on Underhill, not on Oak, because you're telling us that the trucks are gonna come right out onto Jericho, and they're gonna access the expressway via the Seaford Oyster Bay, which is already a traffic nightmare, and takes these trucks an extra mile down Jericho Turnpike.
Yeah.
And I want to know also, they're not
Did
gonna
you
be
see that?
permitted to make a right on South Oyster Bay Road because there's so much traffic that they can't get onto the Seaford Oyster Bay Expressway. And also, I'd like also somebody to take a look at what the air pollution is going to be like with all these truck emissions, what the noise pollution is going to be like once it's fully stocked with trucks all the time, because that's not something that could have been done ahead of time. It needs to be done on an ongoing basis. They're gonna be diesel trucks with diesel emissions. The noise of the backup of the trucks is bad enough, but there's gonna be fumes from that too. And there's gonna be noise from that too. And they're taking, how many trees, I don't even know if you guys know, how many trees do you need to cut down on that existing 6 acres right now? And how many are gonna be replaced? You know, in my area, we have a road reconstruction project going on. And I've been working with the town very successfully, and they've been almost doing a one-to-one replacement of trees. Because God knows, we need to breathe, you know? Yet yesterday they didn't teach us the lesson, we need to start taking care of ourselves and our environment. And we, like Susan said, we are depending on you. And if you don't have the authority, then take it to who does before you make a decision.
And we'll give you the Pondview Drive, which is diagonal, right where this proposed opening is going to be. You watch the traffic at 5 o'clock,
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, when people are going west onto, you know, the
School
LIE.
buses coming in and out of the lane. It's between the
Okay.
tractor trailers and the school buses.
We understand. We're
The
hearing you.
town already agreed. The town already agreed that the traffic was a nightmare because the two entrances to Syosset Roads from Jericho Turnpike have signs on them saying that you can't make the left turn, so you can't cut through. So the town years ago knew that there's such a traffic problem, it's affecting Syosset Roads, we have to try something. This is gonna make it 10 minutes.
Okay. Scott.
Stand just for 2 minutes, please. I've had my hand up.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
So the woman.
I want to inform you all of something that you don't know. That property, that mobile home park, became the ownership of Lenny Genova, who used to be the town attorney.
You know, I
No,
don't.
the reason I'm telling you that is because that property was not zoned industrial. It was a camp before it was a mobile home park, it was a campsite. Okay, I have all the research on it. And the only reason that property got zoned commercial is because the former corrupt town attorney knew he was trying to capitalize because he knew that that was going to be attached to the Amazon property. So he got it zoned because of his connections in the town, industrial, and it shouldn't be industrial right
Okay,
now.
I think
It
that's,
shouldn't be industrial.
yeah, okay, I don't want to go back into that. I got
No,
that
it's
history.
important because it shouldn't be industrial.
Right, okay.
It shouldn't be industrial.
But it is.
Mr. Chairman,
And I want to say one more thing, if you would allow me to say it.
Go ahead.
I want to say this, please, with all due respect. I want you all to take into consideration and have morals that this applicant obviously was told before it went before the town board. They were obviously guaranteed an approval from the town board because they went ahead and they evicted 2 long-term businesses on that property, Village Heroes and Ralph's Ices. They went ahead and they evicted small businesses because they were guaranteed
we're not- you're talking-
donations to the
you're
town of
talking to
Oyster
the-
Bay to get the approval.
You're talking
And
to
you're
the
nothing
wrong-
but an illusion up here.
You're
You're
talking-
nothing but an illusion.
You're-
It's already been a done deal because they paid off people
Scott,
to get
I think
the
I-
application through the town board. You don't like to hear the truth, do you?
yeah, Mr. Chairman, I did.
It's all an illusion. You're all an illusion.
Nobody seems to be, they don't seem to be listening. It never went to the town board. This didn't go to the town board because it didn't have to go to the town board. But I do want to answer the lady's question about the trees, because I have it at my fingertips, my team gave it. 84 trees will be coming out, 334 trees are going to be planted. So I think that's a really good fact.
A good size as far as buffers go and
Yeah, we
what have you.
meet or exceed all of it. And to the point about the traffic and the air pollution, obviously, the board will do whatever it needs to do to look at that. But I will tell you, and you will find, that the Department of Environmental Resources, which does a very, very good and comprehensive job of all of these issues, has vetted all of these issues, including with their own outside consultants, including their own outside traffic consultants. So we're confident that, and that's why, the department actually recommended a negative declaration. But, we encourage the board to look at all the data and all of that information.
You have some, I hate to ask you to come up because you just come up and state your
Yeah.
name. Do you have anything new you want to
I
add?
have a quick question. I don't think that anyone has really answered this.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Leslie. I also live in the Syosset Groves neighborhood. The maybe an ability to state exactly who is taking ownership of this property. We know with the Amazon location that they do subcontract third-party trucking companies. So I know that it is the neighborhood's general understanding that this may be something that would be subcontracted to Amazon. The question really is, we discussed the traffic heading to the parkway, but the question for me as a resident of that neighborhood is how are those trucks getting to and from that warehouse space, right? You're going to an area that is suburban, right, residential, and the question is, are there going to be trucks coming to and from that warehouse? Or does it have nothing at all? And I understand maybe that there's information.
What warehouse?
Sure.
But I think it was just a question of putting the minds at ease of the residents, that there will not be traffic cutting through those neighborhoods to get to the warehouse, because there is no way to get from that location to the Amazon warehouse without cutting through or going through the neighborhood. That's all that I think, and I know it's not, maybe not for me to know, but just some clarity that I think may need to be provided in the overall assessment that you guys are making of the traffic.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Did you want to answer that?
I don't know how to respond because
All right.
there is no warehouse. So
But I guess where the trucks are coming from, how the trucks are accessing the site, they're coming off the Seaford Oyster Bay, I believe the plan said?
I think he explained, but you want to say that? You want to explain?
I mean, I can reiterate, as far as I'm aware, we have no affiliation with the Amazon project. That was one of the points that came up during our extensive DER review. In terms of how the trucks are coming to and from the site, I'll go over it once again. We expect them to be going if they're coming from the city, from the west, they're going to be coming via Jericho Turnpike. Usually they'll get off the LIE either at the Westbury Jericho exit or maybe in Hicksville and take 106 or 107. And then coming from the east.
If they go up at 106, 107,
Excuse me,
Let him
finish his statement, please.
but you said that before. That's not how.
All right, wait, just a second. Hold it, please.
In terms of 106, 107, it's one of the closest exits that has almost direct access to Jericho Turnpike. You'd get off of the LIE there, and then you'd go straight north up into the ramp that provides access to Jericho Turnpike. In terms of vehicles coming from the east, from Suffolk or the greater Long Island area, they'd be coming probably via the LIE into the Seaford Oyster Bay, and then on to Jericho. From there, they'd come towards the site.
All right. Anybody else?
Okay, I'm sorry,
Scott?
I just have to ask you to clarify that. If you are struck and you are coming southbound on the LIE, where are you getting off to get to this site? At 106, 107?
Coming around like Little
How are you getting up to there?
Oh, wait a second. Who are you asking,
I'm
her?
asking.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
As the other member of the audience pointed out, the ramp by the Millerage Inn provides access from 106, 107 to.
Now you're on 106, 107, going
let
up
him
the
answer,
ramp up to the Miller's Inn.
Well, that is how you access Jericho Turnpike from 106, 107, which has direct access to the LIE.
And that's how you're, did you hear that? Oh, you know where that is, right there? So you're gonna be accessing Jericho Turnpike by getting off the LIE at 106, 107, driving on 106, 107 in front of the Millerage Inn, and then going up the ramp to Jericho Turnpike?
That is one of the viable options that trucks can take.
Okay. All right, I think we've heard most of the problems.
I'm sorry, I have one more question for you.
I thought we heard most of the problems. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you about the trees again. When you said you're gonna be planting 300 trees, we're very happy, that's great. Are they mature trees? How big are the trees?
It'll be all different sizes. There's a landscape plan that's in the packet.
Okay,
Happy to share with
and
you.
when you were talking about the EPA and all that stuff, once you
You
have,
mentioned the EPA.
or I guess whoever, environmental
The
stuff.
Department of
I'm
Environmental
talking about
Resources.
now the
Okay.
air and
Yes.
the air issue
Yes.
and the noise issue.
Yes.
Is there ongoing monitoring at a site like this, where there's a lot of trucks all the time, to ensure that there aren't a lot of emissions, that there isn't a lot of noise pollution? Like, how do we know that what he's thinking is gonna happen is really what's gonna happen?
There's no ongoing.
No, and also, there's a lot of traffic on Jericho like this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, there's ambient, issues with the ambient air from all the traffic the traffic that's on Jericho. So, there's no ongoing monitoring. They're studying it now. They know how big the site is. They know how many trucks are there. We've discussed how they're going to operate. And they've made it, being the Department of Environmental Resources, made a determination that this will not create some air quality issue. That's
The
it.
environmental
The
side.
town's
In the
environment,
town?
right, we was working with them for almost a year. 18 months, thank you for correcting me. So this is something that was really vetted for a long, long period of time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, Mr. Byrne.
Certainly, yeah. I'd like to look at a couple of issues pertaining to the traffic and a couple of other things at times of the day. I'd like to, make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting and adjourn the meeting to a later date to be posted and advertised again. We'll leave the record open for 30 days. Anyone that has any comments or concerns after the meeting can email me personally at sbyrne@oysterbay-ny.gov. Again, that's sbyrne@oysterbay-ny.gov. So we'll leave the record open for 30 days. We'll take a look at some of the issues, and then we'll reconvene at a later date.
Okay, I just have one procedural question. If the hearing is closed, why do we have to notice again? Like, what do we notice again? I'm just curious. If there's no more testimony because the hearing's
Well,
closed.
we like the public to be able to show up, and it has to be a public meeting, so
It's a
people.
public meeting,
So
right,
people
correct.
still get to show up and watch if they
You want us to
want
put a
to.
sign up again?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
that's fine.
Yeah, if we pick a certain date, we wouldn't have to do that, but I don't want to necessarily tie us to a date and maybe not be able to get to that date.
Understood.
And
Okay.
then people think it's on that date, and then it turns out not to
I
be.
just wanted to clarify.
So that's the motion.
Would a meeting with the residents help for him?
I mean, we'll
I don't want-
we'll discuss
Happy to meet
we'll
with the
discuss
residents. I'm
that.
not sure it will help,
I don't
but
know.
I'm happy to meet
We'll
with them.
discuss that
I am
after.
happy
Yeah,
to meet with them.
take a look
Of
at
course.
that, and,
Yes, I'd be happy to.
okay.
I second the motion.
Second?
I second the motion.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Okay, on the motion, Chairman Stanko.
Aye.
Member Chabina. Member Warner.
Aye.
Member Castellane.
Aye.
Member Vernes, aye. Chairman, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very
At this
much.
time, I will
I make a motion to adjourn.
adjourn the meeting. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Why didn't we?
I'm there 3 times a week.
Just getting that right. So that as much as I understand his rights, you're still accusing us of saying things about non-existent.
Going in for valet parking. That's the worst traffic.
We only get once in a while.
In my opinion.
Thank you very much.
Anthony, thank you.
Oh, am I anywhere? Yeah, right?
I mean, I'm for these people that shouldn't be Amazon.
Thinking about the turning radius. Those trucks trying to. I know that it's pretty good.
They're 100% right. But, I mean, as already have to look at X and Y. X is permitted, Y is not. So as far as we're concerned, this is a